Admiral Jessica Miller stood at the center of United Earth Defense Command, her reflection grim in the holographic displays surrounding her. The emergency klaxons had fallen silent, but their echo seemed to linger in the tense atmosphere of the command center. "Play it again," she ordered, her voice steady despite the rage simmering beneath the surface. The massive central screen flickered to life, displaying the grotesque features of the Kraxan pirate commander, scales gleaming under harsh ship lighting, four eyes blinking in unsynchronized patterns. "People of Earth," the alien's voice grated through the speakers. "We have acquired your colony vessel, New Horizons. 10,000 of your people sleep in our hold, unaware that their fate now rests in your hands." The camera panned across rows of cryopods, each containing a dreaming colonist. "Our demands are simple: your complete stockpile of antimatter fuel, delivered within 48 Earth hours." Miller's hand tightened on the command rail as she spotted a familiar face through one of the cryopod windows. Her sister's daughter, Emily, bound for the Proxima colonies. The pirates had no idea they'd just made this deeply personal. "Admiral," Lieutenant Rodriguez called from his station, analysis complete on the transmission. "It's being broadcast across all frequencies, civilian, military, even old radio bands. They want everyone to hear this." "Of course they do," Miller muttered. "Maximum panic, maximum pressure." She turned to the quantum comm officer. "Get me Director Thompson at Special Projects. Priority Alpha." The next few minutes were a blur of activity. Intelligence reports flooded in, painting a disturbing picture. The Kraxan pirates weren't just raiders. They were proxies, likely working for the Halaxian Empire. If they acquired Earth's antimatter stockpile, it would power something far worse than their ships. "Ma'am," a young ensign interrupted, "civilian networks are exploding. The ransom demand is going viral. Public's demanding we pay up." Miller straightened her uniform and faced the assembled command staff. "Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm about to share is classified level Omega. 6 years ago, after the Centauri incident, we implemented Protocol Ghost Shield. Every civilian colony ship since then has carried insurance." She keyed a sequence into her neural link, bringing up schematics that made several officers gasp. The maintenance robots aboard the New Horizons weren't simple automated janitors. They were state-of-the-art combat platforms in disguise, each capable of transforming into a lethal defense unit. The pirates detected no weapons aboard because technically there aren't any. Yet, a thin smile crossed her face. What they'd grabbed isn't a helpless colony ship. They'd walked into a Trojan horse. "But the civilians," Colonel Harrison interjected. "The risk is calculated," Miller finished. "Each cryopod has independent life support and emergency protocols. And we have an ace aboard. Dr. Amanda Hayes, our seemingly routine cryogenic specialist, is actually Special Forces." The room fell silent as tactical displays updated, showing the pirate fleet's position near the Kuiper Belt. Miller took a deep breath, feeling the weight of 10,000 lives on her shoulders. But unlike the pirates, she knew humanity's true strength wasn't in weapons or ships. "Send the acknowledgement of their demands," she ordered. "Tell them we need time to gather the antimatter. Meanwhile, initiate Operation Sleeping Giant. Let's remind the galaxy why you never, ever threaten human civilians." As her staff rushed to execute their orders, Miller stared at the image of the pirate commander, still frozen on the main screen. "You wanted Earth's answer," she whispered. "You're about to get it." The first pieces of humanity's response were already in motion, hidden in plain sight aboard the very ship the pirates thought was their prize. The galaxy was about to learn an expensive lesson about underestimating human ingenuity, and Miller would make sure they never forgot it. Lieutenant Ryan Cooper's underground lab at Cheyenne Mountain hummed with activity as he stood before a wall of holographic displays. Each screen showed a different maintenance android aboard the New Horizons, their status lights currently dim in dormant mode. To the pirates, they looked like simple cleaning units, squat, unassuming robots programmed for mundane tasks. "If only they knew," Cooper muttered, his fingers dancing across the neural interface. The true nature of these machines would have given any alien species nightmares. Each maintenance bot housed a military-grade quantum processor, adaptive combat algorithms, and a frame made of self-reconstructing nanomaterials. "Sir," his assistant called out, "we're receiving the activation codes from Admiral Miller. Starting remote bootstrap sequence." Cooper nodded, his scared hand steady as he began the delicate process. These weren't just robots. They were his life's work, born from the ashes of humanity's first devastating encounter with hostile aliens. The Mars incident had taught them a harsh lesson. Peace meant nothing without the strength to defend it. "Beginning metamorphosis test on Unit Alpha," he announced. On one screen, a maintenance bot in an isolated cargo hold started to change. Its seemingly basic shell liquefied, nanomaterials flowing and restructuring. Within seconds, the humble cleaning unit had transformed into a sleek combat platform, armed with capabilities that would make even the most advanced alien weapons look primitive. "Neural network synchronization at 100%, the system reported. "Combat protocols ready for full activation." Cooper allowed himself a small smile. The pirates had no idea they were sitting on a nest of mechanical vipers. Project Sentinel had been his response to an age-old question. How do you protect civilian ships without making them obvious military targets? The answer had been hiding in plain sight. Every species in the galaxy used maintenance robots. They were so common, so unremarkable, that no one ever gave them a second glance. Perfect camouflage for humanity's guardian angels. "Lieutenant Cooper." A voice cut through his thoughts. Admiral Miller's hologram materialized in the lab. "Status report. All systems go, Admiral. The Sentinels are ready." But he hesitated. "There's something you should know. After the Centauri incident, I made some improvements." Miller's hologram raised an eyebrow. "Unauthorized modifications. Authorized by my conscience, Mom." Cooper pulled up new schematics. Each Sentinel doesn't just fight, it learns. They've been absorbing data about Kraxan ship designs, weapons, and tactics for months. They know every weakness, every vulnerability. And they can share that knowledge across their network. Instead of anger, a slow smile spread across Miller's face. "You beautiful paranoid bastard. How long until full combat capability?" 20 minutes for the first wave. Each unit has to transform carefully to avoid detection. But once they start, Cooper's eyes gleamed. "Those pirates won't know what hit them." The Admiral nodded. "Initiate the sequence." And Cooper, good work on those improvements. Sometimes humanity's greatest strength is our inability to leave well enough alone. As Miller's hologram faded, Cooper turned back to his displays. Throughout the New Horizons, maintenance bots were beginning their subtle transformations. In ventilation shafts, storage rooms, and maintenance tunnels, humanity's hidden guardians were awakening. "Sir," his assistant called out, "the pirates are scanning the ship again. Standard security sweep." "Let them look," Cooper replied, watching the transformation continue. "They'll see exactly what they expect to see. Simple cleaning robots going about their simple tasks, right up until the moment those simple robots take their ship apart from the inside out." On his main screen, the first fully transformed Sentinel flexed its new form, combat systems humming to life. The pirates wanted to teach humanity a lesson about power. They were about to learn one themselves. Never judge a species by their cleaning robots. "Begin Phase 2, Cooper commanded. Across the New Horizons, dozens of maintenance bots received their wake-up call. The ghost in the machine was stirring, and it was hungry for justice. Dr. Amanda Hayes kept her movements deliberately slow and methodical as she checked the cryopod readings, perfectly playing the role of a concerned technician. The young Kraxan guard watching her shifted impatiently, mandibles clicking with boredom. To him, she was just another weak human, allowed to remain awake solely to maintain the cargo. If he knew she'd once led Special Forces operations against the Regellian pirates, he might have paid more attention. The coded message had arrived hidden in routine maintenance data. Sleeping Beauty protocol initiated. Midnight approaches. Amanda's pulse quickened, but her hands remained steady as she moved to the next row of pods. Each deliberate movement brought her closer to the primary maintenance hub and the first cluster of dormant sentinels. "Human," the guard growled. "You take too long." "These are delicate systems," she replied meekly, not meeting his 4 eyes. "One mistake could wake the colonists." "You wouldn't want that, would you?" The mention of dealing with thousands of awake humans made him step back. Amanda suppressed a smile as she reached the hub's access panel. The guard's neural implant chimed, drawing his attention to a minor disturbance elsewhere on the ship. Perfect timing. "Stay here," he ordered. "Touch nothing but the pods." The moment he disappeared around the corner, Amanda's demeanor changed. Gone was the timid technician, replaced by the operator who'd earned the call sign Ghost during the Europa campaign. Her fingers flew across the maintenance hub's interface, initiating the sequences Cooper had prepared. Through the hub's cameras, she watched the first sentinel begin its transformation in a sealed maintenance shaft. The process was beautiful, liquid metal flowing like mercury, combat systems emerging from seemingly solid walls of the robot's frame. But she'd only completed 3 activations when her neural implant buzzed a warning. "Power fluctuation in Section C7. A young pirate's voice crackled over the ship's comm. "Running diagnostics." Amanda's mind raced. The power signatures from the transforming sentinels were supposed to be masked. Either something had gone wrong, or the pirates' systems were more sophisticated than intelligence had suggested. "This is Head Engineer," she heard an older pirate respond. "Dispatch a team to investigate, and someone find that human technician. I want her to verify the cryopods aren't affected." Time was running out. Amanda quickly initiated the emergency protocols Cooper had built into the system. Throughout the ship, maintenance bots began moving toward predetermined positions, their transformations temporarily halted, but their combat subroutines preloaded and ready. She was almost finished when she heard heavy footsteps approaching from both directions. The pirates had figured out something was wrong sooner than expected. With no time to reach any of her hidden weapons caches, Amanda did the one thing they wouldn't expect. She pressed her hand against a nearby cryopod surface, smiling at her sleeping niece within. "Sorry about this, Emily," she whispered, then slammed her other hand on the emergency release for the pod's cryogenic gases. Non-toxic but obscuring vapor burst into the corridor, just as the pirates rounded both corners. In the chaos that followed, none of them noticed the maintenance panel sliding shut behind their quarry, or the small figure disappearing into the labyrinth of service tunnels that humans had specifically designed to be too cramped for Kraxan anatomy. "Find her." She heard them roar as she crawled deeper into the ship's infrastructure. But Amanda wasn't running away. She was heading to her backup position. The pirates thought they were hunting her, but they were about to learn a harsh lesson about cornering the human operative. In the maintenance hub she'd left behind, a small display flickered with a countdown. When it reached 0, every transformed sentinel would activate simultaneously. The pirates were about to discover why humanity's reputation for cunning was well earned. Amanda reached her destination, a hidden command node Cooper had built into the ship's original design. As she connected to the system, a fierce grin spread across her face. "Time to wake the giants," she whispered, and pressed the final activation key. Chief Engineer Mike Sullivan watched the tactical display with savage satisfaction as 37 dots representing activated sentinels blinked to life across the New Horizons schematics. From his command center deep within Cheyenne Mountain, he could see what the pirates couldn't, their own ship becoming their prison. "Unit 7 has breached the environmental control system," his AI assistant reported, beginning atmospheric modifications in non-essential areas. "Perfect." Sullivan's fingers danced across his neural interface, coordinating the Sentinel's movements. "Increase nitrogen levels in the cargo bays. Let's make our scaly friends a little sleepy." The pirates had made a critical mistake in their ship design, one that any human engineer would have caught. Their ventilation system was entirely centralized, with no emergency bulkheads or redundancies. They'd sacrificed security for efficiency, never imagining that their own air supply could become a weapon. "Sir," Lieutenant Cooper called from his station, "they've detected the atmospheric changes. They're sealing their combat armor." Sullivan grinned. "Right on schedule. Execute Phase 2. Across the New Horizons, the Sentinels moved with terrible purpose. In the engine room, 3 units disguised as fuel line maintenance bots suddenly liquefied, reforming into serpentine shapes that slithered into the ship's power distribution network. Within seconds, they began isolating sections of the vessel, trapping groups of pirates between sealed bulkheads. "The Kraxan response teams are mobilizing," Cooper reported. "They're pulling guards from the cryopod sections. Tell Amanda she's got her opening. And initiate sonic warfare protocols." Throughout the ship, maintenance speakers previously used for routine announcements began emitting frequencies specifically calibrated to disorient Kraxan inner ear structures. It wasn't enough to incapacitate them, but combined with the modified atmosphere, it would dull their reactions. "They're trying to access emergency systems," Cooper announced, his voice tight with concentration. "Attempting to vent the affected sections. Not today." Sullivan activated another sequence. The Sentinels in the environmental system had already locked out all external commands. "Show me the bridge feed." The main screen shifted to show the New Horizons command center. The Kraxan captain was bellowing orders, his scales flushed with rage as system after system reported failures. Around him, his bridge crew fought with increasingly unresponsive controls. "Sir," one of them called out, "the maintenance robots. They're acting strangely." On cue, every inactive sentinel on the bridge transformed simultaneously. The pirates reached for weapons, but the robots had already interfaced with their chair systems, delivering precisely calculated electric shocks through the metal seats. The entire bridge crew slumped, unconscious before they could fire a single shot. "Bridge is secured," Sullivan announced. "Amanda, you're up." Through the cameras, he watched Dr. Hayes emerge from a maintenance shaft directly into the cryopod control center. The few remaining guards, already disoriented by the atmospheric changes and sonic attack, never stood a chance against her enhanced combat reflexes. "Cryopod sections locked down," she reported, her voice cold and professional. "Beginning emergency protocols for passenger protection." Sullivan nodded, then turned to his final display. Throughout the ship, Sentinels were systematically neutralizing the remaining pirates, using non-lethal tactics with mechanical precision. Some transformed into barrier systems, trapping pirates in corridors. Others became mobile containment units, efficiently subduing and securing their captors-turned-captives. "Sir," Cooper called out, "we're detecting power spikes from the pirate fleet. They know something's wrong." "Of course they do." Sullivan's smile was predatory. "But by the time they figure out exactly what happened, Commander Mitchell's fleet will be in position." He opened a channel to Admiral Miller. "Ma'am, Phase 4 is complete. The New Horizons is under our control. Minimal damage, no casualties, on either side." "Well done," Miller replied. "And the cryopods? Safer than they were in their berths. We got 10,000 colonists still sleeping soundly, about to wake up to one hell of a story." As his team began securing systems and preparing for the fleet engagement to come, Sullivan spared one last look at the tactical display. The pirates had thought they were dealing with helpless civilians protected by simple maintenance robots. Instead, they'd learned why humanity's engineering corps had a reputation for dangerous creativity. "Never underestimate a human's capacity for paranoid preparation," he muttered, and began coordinating with Mitchell's approaching fleet. Commander James Maverick Mitchell stood on the bridge of the UES Deception, watching his seemingly chaotic fleet perform what looked like the worst formation flying in human history. Ships wobbled in their trajectories, engines flared at odd intervals, and communication chatter was deliberately filled with confusion and uncertainty. "You're overplaying the hesitation on Vector 7, he said to his helmsman. Dial it back about 10%. Remember, we want to look inexperienced, not drunk." "Aye, sir," the helmsman responded, adjusting the ship's apparent drift. "Though I have to say, deliberately flying badly is harder than flying well." Mitchell smiled. Every mistake, every overcorrection, every seemingly amateur maneuver was precisely calculated. His fleet was performing a ballet disguised as a barroom brawl. "Sir," his tactical officer called out, "the Kraxan fleet is responding exactly as predicted. They're shifting to their standard attack formation. Intercepted communications suggest they're actually laughing at us." "Perfect." Mitchell opened a secure channel to Major Diana Taylor's stealth fleet. "Ghost Lead, the stage is set. How's your approach?" "Clean and quiet," Taylor's voice whispered through quantum encryption. "We're using their sensor shadows like you planned. Every time they adjust position to mock your amateur moves, they create new blind spots. My ships are slipping through them like water through rocks." Mitchell checked his tactical display. The pirate fleet had taken formation in a classic predator's crescent, preparing to spring their trap on what they thought was easy prey. They had no idea they were positioning themselves exactly where humanity wanted them. New transmission from the pirate flagship. Communications announced. Audio only. They're asking if this is really Earth's best response. "Let's play to their expectations," Mitchell ordered. He keyed his response. "This is Commander Mitchell of the Earth Defense Fleet. Please don't shoot. We're just here to deliver the ransom. Some of our pilots are still in training." The pirates' laughter echoed through the bridge. Mitchell's crew maintained their professional composure, though he caught a few subtle smirks. The pirates were buying their act completely. "Major Taylor," he sub-vocalized through his neural link. "Status. Final position in 3 minutes. Your amateur fleet has them so focused on the show, they haven't done a deep scan in over 10 minutes. Mitchell nodded to himself. The pirates were falling into the oldest trap in human military history. They were believing what they wanted to believe. Their sensors showed a disorganized fleet of 13 ships, making rookie mistakes and broadcasting fear. They couldn't see that each ship's apparently random movements were part of a precisely choreographed pattern. They didn't realize that the irregular engine flares were actually creating a complex electromagnetic web. And they certainly didn't notice that their own formation was slowly being boxed in by invisible barriers of interfering energy fields. "Sir," Tactical reported, "we're receiving updates from the New Horizons. Sullivan's team has full internal control. The Sentinels are in position." "Excellent." Mitchell straightened his uniform. "Signal the fleet. Begin final approach pattern Delta. Let's make this look good." His ships began what appeared to be a panicked attempt at a surrender formation. The Kraxan fleet tightened their crescent, predators preparing to pounce on wounded prey. "Ghost Lead to Maverick," Taylor's voice purred in his ear. "We're in attack position. My crews are requesting permission to record the looks on their faces when they realize what's happening." Mitchell allowed himself a small chuckle. "Permission granted, Major. Stand by for my signal." He turned to his bridge crew. "Ladies and gentlemen, in about 90 seconds, we're going to remind the galaxy why humans have a reputation for being clever bastards. Until then, keep looking scared and incompetent." As his fleet continued its elaborate dance of deception, Mitchell reflected on an ancient human saying, "Appearance is 9/10 of deception." The pirates thought they were watching a tragedy unfold. Instead, they were about to become players in humanity's carefully orchestrated symphony of combat. "All ships," he sub-vocalized, "prepare for Phase 6. Let's show them what a real trap looks like." Lieutenant Kate Reynolds watched from the stealth ship Shadow Dancer as the trap reached its final stages. The Kraxan fleet had clustered their ships into an attack formation, exactly as planned. Their arrogance was about to cost them dearly. "Ghost Lead to all ships," Major Taylor's voice whispered through the quantum comm. "Initiate synchronized field generators on my mark." Reynolds' fingers hovered over her tactical controls. The Shadow Dancer, like all ships in the stealth fleet, carried experimental technology that had been deliberately left off humanity's official military registries. The pirates thought they knew Earth's capabilities. They were wrong. "Field generators at full charge," her engineer reported, ready to expose the web. On her main display, Commander Mitchell's amateur fleet continued their elaborate performance. Each ship's seemingly random movements had been weaving an invisible net of electromagnetic interference. Now, that net was about to become a cage. Internal feed from New Horizons. Communications announced. The Sentinels are reporting critical systems under control. Dr. Hayes has secured all cryopod sections. Reynolds allowed herself a tight smile. The pieces were falling into place with mechanical precision. The pirates were about to learn why humans had a reputation for overcomplicated, paranoid planning. "Ghost lead to all units," Taylor's voice crackled. "Execute in 5, 4, 3. The Kraxon flagship suddenly started broadcasting. "Human vessels, power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Your pathetic rescue attempt has 2, 1, mark." Reynolds slammed her controls forward. Around the pirate fleet, space itself seemed to ripple as dozens of stealth ships dropped their cloaking fields simultaneously. The electromagnetic web, previously invisible, burst into brilliant life. "By the void," a pirate voice cried out. "Multiple ships appearing." "Where did they?" "Full power to containment fields," Taylor ordered. "Don't let them scatter." The trap snapped shut with devastating elegance. The pirates tried to engage their engines, only to find themselves caught in a complex web of overlapping energy fields. Each attempt to break free only entangled them further. "Their weapons are powering up," Reynolds reported, watching the energy signatures spike. "Let them waste the energy." Mitchell's voice came through, all pretense of incompetence gone. "Those fields will absorb anything they throw at us." "Admiral Miller, the stage is yours." Reynolds switched her display to the New Horizons internal feeds. Throughout the captured ship, Sentinels were executing the final phase of their mission. Shield generators failed. Weapon systems went dark. The pirates trapped inside found themselves completely defenseless. "This is Admiral Jessica Miller to the Kraxon fleet." The transmission cut through all channels, cold and precise. "Your internal forces have been neutralized. Your ships are contained. Your options have expired. I suggest you consider your next words very carefully." The pirates' response was predictable. They opened fire. Energy weapons splashed harmlessly against the containment fields, their power absorbed and redirected to strengthen the very cage holding them. "Status report," Taylor demanded. "Containment fields holding at 97%, Reynolds answered. "Their weapons are actually making the trap stronger, exactly as designed." "Permission to record this for the Academy's tactical database." "Granted," Taylor said, amusement in her voice. "I think this will become a classic case study." On her screens, Reynolds watched the pirate fleet's futile attempts to escape. Their tight formation, intended to intimidate, had become their prison. Their powerful weapons were worse than useless, and their captured prize ship had become the instrument of their defeat. "Major Taylor," Admiral Miller's voice cut through the comm. "Please inform Commander Mitchell that he can drop the charade. It's time to show our friends what a human fleet really looks like in action." Reynolds felt the deck plates hum as her ship's full combat systems came online. Around the trapped pirate fleet, Earth's vessels began moving with lethal grace, all pretense of amateur behavior forgotten. "Now then," Miller continued, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's response to those who would threaten their people. "Let's discuss the terms of your surrender." Colonel Brian Anderson watched from his command post as the electromagnetic web pulsed with captured energy. Each futile blast from the pirate ships strengthened the containment field, their own weapons turned against them by human ingenuity. But this wasn't just about trapping the enemy. It was about sending a message to the galaxy. "All ships, execute Thunder Protocol," he ordered, his voice carrying across the quantum network. "Show them what we've been hiding." The transformation was beautiful to watch. Throughout Mitchell's fleet, hidden weapon ports slid open, revealing arrays that had been masked by sophisticated holographic technology. The ship's outer hulls shifted, panels realigning to expose the true nature of humanity's civilian defense force. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "the Kraxan flagship is attempting to broadcast a distress signal." "Let them." Anderson smiled. "The more witnesses to this lesson, the better." Inside the New Horizons, the Sentinels had begun their final directive. Dr. Hayes' voice came through the secure channel. Internal systems completely locked down, beginning power transfer to the fleet. This was humanity's masterstroke. The pirates hadn't just captured a colony ship, they'd brought a mobile power station into the heart of their fleet. Each cryopod's backup system contained enough energy to power a small city, a deliberate over-engineering that was about to prove its worth. Energy transfer commencing, the ship's AI announced, redirecting power to the containment grid. Anderson watched his displays as the web of energy surrounding the pirate fleet brightened, strengthened by the New Horizons' contribution. The pirate ships, once proud predators, now looked like insects caught in elaborate electric silk. "Colonel," Major Taylor's voice cut in, "stealth fleet in position for final phase. Permission to demonstrate our point." "Granted, Major. Let's educate our friends." The stealth ships began a synchronized maneuver that should have been impossible in normal space. Their quantum drives, operating on principles the pirates had dismissed as theoretical, allowed them to dance through the gaps in their own containment field. "Sir," his sensor officer called out, reading massive energy spikes from the pirate fleet. "They're attempting to overload their cores." "Right on schedule," Anderson nodded. "Execute Protocol Omega." Throughout the trapped fleet, hidden programs planted by the Sentinels' earlier infiltration activated. Emergency shutdown sequences engaged, cores powered down, and backup systems failed. The pirates had just discovered another human trait. They always planned for the worst. "This is Admiral Miller to all Earth forces," the command channel crackled. "Colonel Anderson, status report. Containment field at maximum strength. Admiral, the New Horizons is fully secured, all colonists safe. Enemy fleet is powered down and surrounded. We can begin boarding operations at your command." "Very good." There was satisfaction in Miller's voice. "Major Taylor, your stealth teams have point. Colonel Anderson's forces will provide backup. Remember, we want prisoners, not martyrs." Anderson switched to the tactical display as the stealth teams began their precise assault. The pirates, trapped in their own ships with minimal power and failing life support, could only watch as human boarding parties cut through their hulls with surgical precision. "Sir," communications called out, "we're picking up chatter from nearby systems. Word of this is spreading fast." "Good." Anderson stood, straightening his uniform. That was part of the plan. The galaxy needs to understand that humanity's advancement wasn't just in weapons or ships. We evolved our tactics, our strategies, our very way of thinking about warfare. The main screen showed the pirate captain being led away in custody, his 4 eyes wide with disbelief. He'd expected to find easy prey, and instead had discovered that humans had turned paranoia into an art form. "Colonel," Miller's voice returned, "begin final containment procedures. I want these ships secured and ready for transport within the hour. It's time to show the galaxy what happens when someone threatens human civilians." Anderson nodded, watching as his forces methodically secured their victory. The pirates had wanted Earth's answer to their demands. They'd gotten something far more valuable, a lesson in human ingenuity that the galaxy wouldn't soon forget. Captain Emily Walker stood on the bridge of the captured Kraxan flagship, surrounded by the fruits of humanity's victory. The massive view screen showed Earth's fleet in its true form now. No more pretense, no more deception. Just the clean, deadly lines of ships that had been designed with generations of paranoid preparation. "Final prisoner transfer complete," her XO reported. "All pirate crews secured in containment. The New Horizons reports all colonists still in stable cryosleep." Excellent. Walker turned to face the Kraxan captain, who sat bound under guard. I believe you have some intelligence we'd be interested in. About your employers in the Halaxian Empire. The pirate's scales rippled with surprise. How did you? No. Walker smiled. The same way we knew you'd try to steal our antimatter. The same way we knew you'd underestimate our capabilities. We've been watching, learning, preparing. Humans are very good at that. The main screen flickered as Admiral Miller's transmission came through. Captain Walker, status report. All enemy vessels secured, Admiral. No casualties on either side. Though I suspect their pride may never recover. She glanced at the Kraxan captain. We've also confirmed the Halaxian connection. Apparently, our friends here were just the first wave. As we suspected. Miller's expression was grim. The Halaxians thought they could use proxies to test our defenses. Instead, they'd given us a perfect opportunity to demonstrate why that was a mistake. Walker nodded, accessing the tactical display. The electromagnetic web still flickered around the captured fleet, but now it served a different purpose. Each energy pulse was broadcasting a message to watching eyes throughout the sector. This is what happens when you threaten human civilians. Ma'am, her sensor officer called out, we're detecting multiple quantum signatures at the edge of the system. Looks like we've drawn an audience. Good. Walker straightened her uniform. Let them watch. Let them learn. The observation ships from other species hung at a safe distance, their sensors undoubtedly recording everything. They'd come expecting to see pirates humbling the upstart humans. Instead, they were witnessing a masterclass in strategic thinking. Admiral, Walker reported, Dr. Hayes requests permission to begin waking the first group of colonists. She thinks it might help our diplomatic position to have 10,000 witnesses to Kraxan aggression. Granted. And Captain, make sure our guests understand something. Miller's voice carried across the bridge. The New Horizons wasn't unique. Every human colony ship, every civilian vessel, carries similar surprises. We're through being easy targets. Walker turned back to the Kraxan captain, whose scales had paled considerably. Your people have a saying, don't they? Strike the weak to warn the strong. We have one too. Never start a fight, but always finish it. Throughout the captured fleet, Earth's forces were discovering the true scope of the Halaxian plan. The pirates hadn't just been after antimatter. They'd been probing defenses, testing responses, preparing for something bigger. Message from Commander Mitchell. Communications announced. The containment fleet is ready to escort our guests back to Earth for processing. He suggests we give our audience something to remember us by. Walker smiled. Signal all ships. Execute final display. The Earth fleet moved with perfect synchronization, their previous chaotic movements replaced by lethal grace. The electromagnetic web collapsed inward, herding the captured ships into a tight formation. Around them, the stealth fleet decloaked in waves, each reveal demonstrating capabilities that weren't supposed to exist. To all observers, Walker broadcast on open channels, let me be clear. Humanity values peace. We prefer cooperation. But if forced to fight. She paused, letting the display of power speak for itself. Well, you've seen what happens when someone threatens our people. As the fleet prepared to return to Earth, Walker caught the Kraxan captain staring at his ships in disbelief. You know what your biggest mistake was? She asked him quietly. You thought humans were prey animals, hiding behind walls of technology. You forgot that we're predators too. We just learned to hide it better. The galaxy would remember this day, not just for the victory, but for the message it sent. Humanity wasn't just advancing technologically. They were evolving strategically. And they were done being underestimated.